Hello, my name is Janbir Sandhu, and I am the Internship and Training Manager here at HomeFirst. Welcome to New Hire Training Week, and welcome to the training on funding and working with community partners. All right, so I want to start off by talking about the government grants life cycle. And you may have seen this in other trainings, especially in talking about creation of county systems, but I wanted to overview it a little bit more in depth here in talking about what happens before we provide services to individuals on a direct level. When HUD, the Housing and Urban Development Office, or VA, puts out a notice of funding availability, and NOFA, notice of funding availability on an annual basis, our county then puts out requests for proposals at the same time through the COC so that we can take a look at the funding that's made available for our county to meet gaps and address needs in finding methods to increase supportive housing, create more affordable housing, and in ending homelessness through other supportive services in our county. When that happens, that fund request for proposals is put out there. Each agency, each nonprofit agency then develops in-house a pre-proposal workshop where the program coordinator up to the director, up to the CEO is involved with the finance team, HR sometimes, in taking a look as of, is this grant feasible for us? What can we do at this time to really develop our programs and really offer a services and address the gaps in services, or maybe augment the services that we already offer on a nonprofit level. So as that pre-proposal workshop happens, we're starting to think about how many individuals are going to be needed. What are the program related outcomes? What are we being asked to do on an annual basis? How many individuals are we asked to serve or to house, in what length of time? And if so, what does that mean? What is that needed? Are we in need of case managers or outreach specialists or employment specialists or housing specialists or benefit specialists? What types of positions is that going to create? What would that budget look like? Is there any rental assistance involved? All of those questions are looked at in the pre-proposal workshop, and then you put together the grant application, which is put out with the request for proposals. The grant application is put out, you work on it together, you submit a proposed budget in order for the county and HUD to review in order to grant you the particular level of that funding for you to run that program. And if you've done a job well done, then the grant is awarded, right? You're awarded, and most people think, great, now we can start providing services, right? Well, the work is about halfway done, as you can see in this government life grant cycle. So at that point, once a grant is awarded, you've received the funds, you have to remember that we don't receive, if a grant, let's say, is for $750,000, we don't receive $750,000 up front. Most nonprofit organizations they receive their funding in a cost reimbursed way, which means first you have to have the money in the bank to accrue the cost of developing the program, of starting out, of doing first months of business, sometimes the first quarter of business on your own. And then you have to show your invoices and your work. And every single receipt, every single gas receipt, all the way up to program related funds that are entered on HMIS are reported to the program, and then we are reimbursed that cost. So that's a little note on, all these dollar signs. It doesn't mean that you're awarded the grant right away. It means that you now have access, you now have rights to run this program. You're awarded the contract, but your cost is still reimbursable. You have to accrue the cost and then show your work, show how you've spent it in an ethical way, in an appropriate way, as outlined by the contract or the grant, and then you're reimbursed that amount of money. After that is done, we go into a period of contract negotiation where a final budget is submitted. We may want to rethink some of the outcomes, or we may want to rethink the number of staff we have, or the number of specialty positions, or how we outline that. So we kind of enter in and sort of solidify the last minute changes there. And then at that point, the contract is executed. It's signed by the CEO. It's signed by their colleagues or their cohorts on the county level. and we can start to really think about service delivery. We can hire the team, we can train the team, and start to begin the work. So all of that work has to be put together when an award is granted, when a program is granted, and we take the best step forward in meeting the outcomes and serving our community and ending homelessness. And all of these steps, you could imagine, are very necessary in order for us to track what is it that we're doing, think about what is it that we're being asked to do, and how is it that we're going to do that. This is a chart on our current funding. This is a chart on the increments here is presented in amounts of $1 million of our government funding history since 2012. That's the year we've been tracking our government history since the Office of Supportive Housing was formed. And that first year we were, as an agency, just in government funding. So this is not our overall health picture, but just in government funding, we had about $5 million of government contracts. And as you can see, every year incrementally, with a few $100,000 of drops in 2014, we have managed to increase the funding. So this is fiscal year 17. This was confirmed by the finance department, and we're taking a look at projections for fiscal year 18 since they've closed it just a couple of weeks ago. So we are about $9.7 million in total government grant funding in 2017, and I can already imagine for 2018 it was about the same, if not quite higher. This is the same number of data, but broken down initially by the type of funding. So again, the increments are in millions. Red is for federal funding. This blue is for county funding, and the green is for other local funding. So I want you to think about HUD as the federal funding, VA also as federal funding. County funding is definitely over county systems of care. So we need to think about some of the funding that comes out from our county associated to programs, and the local funding is mostly city-based. So that might be programs developed through the city of San Jose, the city of Mountain View, the city of Sunnyvale, the city of Gilroy, that also help support other programs as well. And as you can see, again, the breakdown every year, the level of graphs kind of continues to go up for each one. And for some, like the local city grants, it did sustain for a while with some drops again in 2014. But for the most part, in 2017, we've been able to make up much more than we've lost in all categories and support our agency with over that $9.4 million in government grant funding. And as you can see, our county and federal government, HUD and VA, are really invested in the work that we do and continue to support our programs. And this is how programs are created. This is how programs are funded. The other arm of our funding is, of course, through grant development, is through working with private donors to augment and take a look at services that we do not have funding for, because as you can imagine, the federal and county dollars only go so far and cover so much overhead or time and expenses that are needed in order for our organization to remain strong and to organize and collectively run our agency. So we have to meet a lot of our needs through the fund development program. And so that also augments what we bring in, but our services for the most part are funded by individual contracts. This is a year-to-year variance graph on the number of funding, the amount of funding that we had, and an increase in funding from the very first year we began tracking this, which was 2012. So from 2012 to 2013, we had a 20% increase. And since it was just a year difference, it was the same level of increase from the year before. Fiscal year 14, from fiscal year 13 to 14, we had a 3% decrease, but still a 16% overall increase from 2014. 24-year increase from the year before, 44% increase overall in 2015. In 2016, we had a 13% increase from 2015 and a 62% increase overall since 2012. And 2017, we had a 35% increase from 2016 and had a 94% increase from 2012 when we first began taking a look at our funding of resources and data. So we are in absolutely amazing shape in order to provide services, are receiving contracts that are are going to end homelessness and are providing targeted resources and supportive services to help meet the needs of disenfranchised individuals in Santa Clara County and are well equipped to doing so. So we're going to take a look at what does funding look like across the various different programs. The City of San Jose, we partner with them and receive funding from them for our outreach programs. So that's outreach and engagement. That's they also pay for shelter beds for the outreach side and provide for supportive services. There's case management in our outreach program for a short amount of time. We're hoping to get some of that back so that we can really engage with individuals who are out in encampments and ask them to come into shelter services, develop those hygiene kits, and really work with individuals to really help end their homelessness. The County of Santa Clara, we partner with them and receive funding for various level of programs. Our North County Intensive Case Management Program, which is we also partner with for the state in Medi-Cal billing. Our overnight warming locations and warming shelters when there is temperate weather out. This also goes for our cooling shelters as well in the summertime. Temporary housing program for former foster plus youth. So these are THP programs, scattered site, and the traditional THP model as well. Both of them for formerly foster youth 18 to 22 and plus. Our nightly shelter, our extended bed program, which would be here at the BRC, Picardo Reception Center. Also our dedicated transitional bed program, which partners with the county, but also partners with county level agencies like Emergency Psychiatric Services to work with individuals who have mental health diagnosis and special criteria for enrollment. And of course, bridge housing case management, really taking a look at how is it that we can provide case management in the bridge housing initiatives that are coming across in different regions and sectors of Santa Clara County, and how we're able to support those bridge housing commitments that our county is making to help really end homelessness and identify and have space for individuals who have an identified space to either receive a voucher or have upcoming vouchers or housing coming up. Our Gilroy cold weather shelter is also funded through our collaboration with the County of Santa Clara, and Mountain View, the city of Mountain View, funds the cold weather shelter. So they fund the cold weather shelter there. It's a partnership between the county and also the city of Mountain View as well in order to really serve individuals that are in other parts of Santa Clara County. The city of Sunnyvale, along with the county of Santa Clara, partner to support the Sunnyvale shelter as well. That is now a pilot program to really be a year-round shelter and not a cold weather shelter. So that's something that we're piloting because the needs of the community, again, are so high. This was a gap that was not addressed, and now we're working on it to make sure that that gap is addressed. Some programs that are not funded through a government grant are programs like our New Start program and our working persons programs. And at one point, you could imagine we would absolutely love funding so that we can take a look at what is the needs of individuals that are in Santa Clara County, what are needs for individuals who are receiving nightly shelter stays, and how is it that we can engage with them in supportive services as well. So these are two programs, if you haven't heard about them, that HomeFirst fits the quote-unquote foots the bill for ourselves in order to support individuals in developing skill set in the New Start program so that they can receive employment. And once they've received employment, then in the working persons program, so they can have a nightly shelter stay and assigned bed so that they can save up enough funding for them to end their homelessness and really find housing in our communities. And through the VA, our VA-funded programs, our partnership with the VA, we have with our supportive services for veteran families program. This is an outpatient program, and it's directly supported by Congress and has to be approved by Congress each and every year for us to be receiving an allocated set of funds in order to provide rapid rehousing services for veterans in Santa Clara County. Our Healthcare for the Homeless Veterans grants, HCHV grants, beds are located on our Picardo Reception Center floor. And this is, of course, local funding from VA Palo Alto, provided through the larger health and VA system. And that's also connected to the Veterans Transitional Housing Program, which is a 10-unit low-demand program, also supported through the VA local Palo Alto system. And this is a very new pilot program that we're able to really shine and show direct services to, and I think we're one of the only programs on the West Coast to have a low demand program in a THP setting for veterans that really is following evidence-based practices and already showing absolutely amazing results so far. So this is a little bit about funding and what does that mean as far as putting the picture together in working and collaborating with our community in helping to end homelessness. So our COC, of course, mandates that we all share our data with the county through HMIS and with HUD in order to improve data quality and to increase funding. So our data quality, what we do, how we document what we do, our notes, our service transactions are that much more important. We're being asked to document this. Other agencies cannot see our day-to-day in and out work, but on a community, we take a look at this together. I don't think they take a look at it on an organization level. They compile everyone's data together and take a look at outcomes of where we are as a whole community. And nonprofit providers are seeing the benefits of this because they're meeting together in SPN meetings, in COC biannual meetings, in VA meetings, and they're looking to solve common issues in order to serve the most vulnerable individuals more efficiently. So we're taking a look at how do we improve our coordinated entry system? How do we improve outreach? How do we improve our rapid rehousing systems? How do we universalize things so that every agency is serving the at the right level of services that's in need to meet the gaps in our community. And VA, county, city council, and nonprofits are for the very first time, working together. We're working together to really partner and end homelessness. This was a vision that we've had for a very long time. And I would say since about 2015 or so, we've been able to really actualize this vision. We've been able to move forward and really have everyone from these different agencies and avenues sit together and come up with plans to really help resolve and solve homelessness in Santa Clara County. So some things to think about in engaging with community partners, right? We may do so in the roles that we serve here at HomeFirst in a very different way. If you're someone who's answering the phone, anyone can call. Anyone can call the front desk, and how we answer our front desk phone calls really reflects on our agency's reputation. Right? Same thing goes for anyone can walk into a program and say, I would like to receive services, or I would like to inquire about your services. That could be the CEO from another organization, or it could be someone from HUD or someone from the county, or again, most importantly, it could be a participant in need of services, right? So our agency reputation is one of the ways that we really think about when engaging with community partners, that we put our best foot forward, that we're really using boundaries, good professionalism skills, and good customer service skills when we're representing the agency. And we are, again, representing HomeFirst at all times, right? So I'm going to talk a little bit about what that looks like shortly. But our client and agency privacy, that's also something that we have to think about. So, everything that I've shared with you today, our funding and the sources of our funding, that's all information we need to have in-house, right? That protects our agency integrity. And at the same time, we have to think about our clients' confidentiality, our program participants' confidentiality. So you really have to also engage with and collaborate with community partners, but think about privacy. So a lot of agencies, a lot of collaborations have thought about having a mutual offer of understanding in MOU where someone can sit together and can have participants sign a consent that their information will be shared. And so when it is shared information, it's done so with their consent and with the goals of ending homelessness in mind. And again, talking about goals, we all have common goals as a community to help end homelessness, help you end veteran homelessness, and help end elderly homelessness and chronic homelessness, and help end youth homelessness and family homelessness in Santa Clara County. So we have these common goals, and we meet about them in different various stages of our county systems, and really think through and partner with our communities of how is it that we can specialize in an area of serving our community and really increase the access level that one may have to services, and really highlight the benefits of someone, encourage them to reach out and have more resources and share those resources as a community. We now have that as a goal. It's no longer seen as a competition, but more of a friendly competition for proposals. And when someone receives a proposal, of course, the community is supporting them and supporting each agency in meeting their outcomes and in meeting their goals. If one agency meets their outcomes and goals, that really is a win for the entire community. And in representing HomeFirst, right? We represent HomeFirst at all times in what we do. And so, what does that look like? That really speaks to how we dress and how we answer our phones and how we conduct business out in the community, how we treat individuals, how individuals take a look at the services that we provide. I will share an example with you. I had a veteran that I had an exclusive conversations with only on the phone in order for him to traverse services. And I found out, I think our first phone call, that he wasn't from the area. He was from the Midwest and he really needed services. So I found out there's no supportive services in his area. I connected him to the COC. I helped him find programs that he can reach out to, gave him some helpful tips on how he can engage and really address the concerns with his community. And I have no idea, but one day he ended up at the White House and mentioned my name. He said he would mention my name to someone there. And I'm like, that's great. That's absolutely wonderful. Not what I was thinking about. I was thinking about serving this veteran, but how we represent HomeFirst and the conversations that we have, even if it's someone who is not from our community, if someone is disenfranchised and needing assistance, that we should really use the resources. The internet is at our fingertips and available resources to really help someone navigate and traverse the various levels of resources that are out there to help end their homelessness. So that's what that looks like. And the way you do that is the way we conduct ourselves, the way we look for information, the way we seek supervision, the way we confidently say, you know what, I don't know, but let me find out for you, and really provide good customer service in a professional way. So that's what, working with community partners and engaging can do for us, and really help build our own reputation and build our community's reputation in sharing our goals in ending homelessness in all the various programs that we have here at HomeFirst, all the way from our front desk teams, our shelter programs, all the way to chronically homeless teams. We provide these services to individuals who are struggling with extreme trauma in the best way possible, in a coordinated way, so that we can really make the goals of the community come alive. So that's a little bit about our funding and working with our community partners, and kind of what that looks like, and the benefits of working with our community partners when it comes to the larger stand of things. So if you have any questions, please, at the end of this training, ask the facilitator about funding, about working with our community partners, engaging. What do those relationships look like? Again, I want to thank you for paying attention, participating in this training, and welcome to HomeFirst.